Right now, without even trying, your brain is running a calculation. It is measuring you against the person next to you, against your coworker, against a stranger on the internet you will never meet. You did not ask it to do this. You cannot make it stop. And that quiet, relentless measurement has been running inside every human brain for a very, very long time. Here is what nobody tells you. Comparison is not a flaw in your character. It is not vanity or insecurity or weakness. It is a survival mechanism so old and so deeply wired that calling it a bad habit is like calling hunger a bad habit. Your brain compares because, for most of human history, comparison was the difference between life and death. To understand why you cannot stop, you have to go back, far back, to a world without cities, without social media, without a single mirror. Picture your ancestors, a small group, maybe 30 or 40 people, moving across an open landscape. There are no institutions, no police, no stored food, no safety net of any kind. What you have is the group, and inside that group, your survival depends entirely on your position. Are you useful enough to be kept? Are you strong enough to be respected? Are you skilled enough to earn a share of the kill? These are not abstract philosophical questions. They are life or death calculations happening in real time. Psychologist Leon Festinger was the first to formally name what your brain has been doing since before language existed. In 1954, Festinger published his social comparison theory, and what he found was deceptively simple. Humans have a fundamental drive to evaluate their own abilities and opinions, and when there is no objective measurement available, we evaluate ourselves by comparing to others. We cannot help it. There is no off switch. But Festinger was only describing the behavior. He was not explaining why evolution built it in. For that, you need to understand something called relative fitness. In an ancestral environment, knowing you were fast is far less useful than knowing you were faster than the person next to you. Knowing you were smart matters less than knowing you were smarter than the rival in the neighboring group. What counts is not your absolute value. What counts is your rank, your position, because rank determined resources. Resources determined survival. Survival determined whether your genes made it into the next generation. Over hundreds of thousands of years, the brains that tracked rank most obsessively were the brains that survived longest. You are the descendant of the most anxious comparers in human history. This is what evolutionary psychologist David Buss spent decades documenting. Buss found that humans are exquisitely sensitive to status cues, to signals of where we stand relative to others, and that this sensitivity activates the same neural systems as physical threat. Being outranked in your brain registers like being in danger, because for most of human history, it was. Think about that. When you scroll through someone else's vacation photos and feel that familiar, uncomfortable pull in your chest, your nervous system is not overreacting. It is doing exactly what it was built to do. It is detecting a status signal and filing a threat response. The fact that the threat is not real, that no one is actually going to take your food or exile you from the group, does not matter to the ancient machinery running underneath your thoughts. It was not built for the modern world. It was built for the savannah. Now here is where it gets stranger. Not all comparison is equal. Researchers have known for decades that humans naturally shift the direction of their comparisons depending on what they need emotionally. Psychologist Jerry Soules identified two distinct patterns. Upward comparison is when you measure yourself against someone doing better, achieving more, living what looks like a bigger life. Downward comparison is when you measure yourself against someone doing worse. Both are useful. Both are ancient. Upward comparison, when it functions correctly, is motivational. It shows you what is possible. It pulls you toward a target. Downward comparison, when the brain needs stabilization, is protective. It says, things could be worse. You are still in the group. You have not been left behind. The problem is that the modern world has shattered the context in which these tools evolved. For most of human history, you compared yourself to your actual group. 30, maybe 50 people. People you knew. People who shared your constraints, your food supply, your weather, your risks. The comparison was anchored in reality. You were measuring yourself against what was genuinely possible for someone in your circumstances. Now your comparison group is infinite. You are not measuring yourself against the 30 people in your village. You are measuring yourself against the most curated, most optimized, most photographed moments from billions of